Yeah, it's
There
just
we
a little
go.
delayed. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I didn't see the message pop up. So here we go. Great. Good morning, everybody. I'm calling this meeting of the Public Safety Communications Task Force to order. It is 11:16 on October 2nd, 2024, and I'm Barbara Neal. The meeting's being recorded, and that recording will be posted on the task force webpage following the meeting. Let's start with our usual roll call. If you could verbally acknowledge your presence when I call you your name, that would be great. Jen Morrison.
I'm here.
Okay, thanks. Paul White.
I am here as well.
Okay, Mike Dungis.
I am here.
Good morning. Ron Kumetz
I am also here.
and Jim Mack.
Here.
Okay, and I do not see, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael Wright on just yet. Okay, so he said he would join absent any emergency calls, so we'll stay tuned and see if he's able to join us in a bit. Also joining us today, of course, is Callie Audette as our administrative support. And we have our project management team, Rick and Dom from Televate.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Rance Duffy and Jason Malloy are both here from Mission Critical Partners. Welcome. And let's see, we have a couple members of the public, so let me call your name and give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and any affiliation you would care to share. Kim Cheney.
Good morning, all. My affiliation remains rather loose. Just a member of the public. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. And you're listed as advocate, but I believe that's Stephen Whitaker. Stephen, we can't hear you if you'd like to introduce yourself. Okay. We still couldn't hear you, Stephen. We're going to move on now, but we do see you on the screen. So, all right, moving on to approval of the agenda. The agenda was distributed to task force members by email. It is also available on the webpage. Do task force members have any proposed changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing nothing, we'll consider the agenda approved and move on to approval of the minutes from the September 18th regular meeting. That's regular meeting number 34. Are there any changes needed to these minutes? Okay. Is there a motion to approve those minutes from 9/18?
I will make a motion to approve those minutes.
Thank you, Ron.
Seconded.
Thank you, Jean.
Where is your emergency?
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes from September 18th, raise your hand or indicate by saying aye. I see multiple hands up. Jim Mack is hands up. Okay, thank you, Ron. The minutes are approved. All right. Next item is the regional town hall and public listening session updates. So I'll kick this off and then invite others to join in. The regional town halls have all been completed. By my informal count, we engaged with more than 150 participants across all 4 of those sessions. So I thought that was good. Mission Critical will continue to review and analyze the information and feedback that was received and incorporate all of that into their assessment of the current landscape of things in the dispatch world right now. Last time we met, we discussed some of the themes that had been identified to that point. I'm wondering if task force members have any additional input on the regional town halls and the info we got that they'd like to share now. Also open to Televate and Mission Critical to comment as well. So anybody have anything more to share? Mike Dungis?
First of all, thank you, Barbara. First of all, let me say, the ones I participated in, two of which were virtual, one in person, were all well attended, and the feedback was vibrant is a good word to use. I think that Mission Critical did a fantastic job of drawing information out of those participants in the way that they asked the questions, the way the presentation worked, the conversation that was had was driven very well. So it got a lively discussion going. The last one that we did in Springfield, one of the things that came up was there was a group of dispatchers there, people, boots on the ground, so to speak, not just management. And their feedback was not just about what isn't working, but about what does work for them. And I know I saw the team both, taking feverish notes and, applauding their input. But after the meeting, what I got from the conversations was that if we can get more of those boots on the ground as we move forward into our next rounds, because they are truly the people that are seeing what's going on, understanding how the tools work and don't work and where the challenges are, if we can focus on maybe that level of input, that would be helpful to our process as well. So I like that feedback, and I just wanted to share that with the larger group.
Right. Yeah, those were really good observations. It was refreshing, actually, I thought, to hear some of the things that are working right. So, and I did notice that at Springfield, most especially. Oh, right. Anybody else? Okay. We will move on then from regional town halls. We'll let Mission Critical continue to churn away at their information analysis. And let's talk about what's up next in terms of the stakeholder engagement. And that is the 2 community listening sessions that we have planned. These are virtual sessions only. We have identified 2 dates. October 22nd from 11:30 to 1:30, so a midday event, and then October 24th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I'm looking, Dom doesn't know it, but I'm looking at him to make sure, or looking for him actually. Yeah, there he is, to make sure I've got that correct. Is that accurate, Dom, what we've agreed on?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. So my thought was, as with the town halls, we'd like to have, up to 3 task force members present at each of those virtual sessions. Perhaps, Callie, you could circulate another of those polls to check on availability, and then we can finalize a schedule, once we have all that information. And then we would confirm with everybody who's attending which session. And just remember, these sessions are geared towards engaging directly with the public. Jen and Paul and I have worked with Televate and Mission Critical on some preliminary development for the content of these sessions. We're planning to have a landing page similar to the town hall for registrations. We are, like I just said, working on content right now. One of the things we identified is that we want to provide a bit more introductory information about the current PSAP and dispatch center landscape, even just as simple as where they are located geographically, for these attendees, as they may be less familiar with how things currently work. So we're working on that, getting some concise information to explain that in the books. Jen, you and I had a brief conversation by email this morning that you do have communications folks that can help us get the word out on, via press releases or social media. You're just waiting on the content, which we should have very soon. So, anything else from Task Force, Televate, Mission Critical that we need to be thinking about on community listening projects sessions? Rick, you look like you're about to say something.
Yeah, I just want to say that we are we've made good progress in a couple of meetings we've had, and we're, as you said, we're close to the finish line. I think we've set an objective of completing this effort so that we could turn it over to Jen before the end of the week,
Yep.
so that we can we can get it distributed to the populations. And I think it would be helpful to know a little bit about the media that's going to be used so that if we have to create more than one, invitation, we just, need to understand that. Is it email? Is it going to be sent out to any publications? I'm sure that Jen has a very vibrant way of getting it out, but it'd be good to know so that we could be sure and create it to accommodate any particular forum.
So it would go out to our communications teams and all the statewide communicators. There's a communicators group across the state enterprise. It would be pushed to our all media list. So all media outlets that receive any information from either DPS or other state entities would receive the announcement of this. We would also circulate it back out to the all legislators group and ask them to amplify the messaging with their constituencies. So there's a lot of other ways we can send it out in groups that we could send it to, but what we don't necessarily want to do is retap all the first responder groups that we already went to. We want to try and use the general public avenues to get the word out. So that will be my direction to the comms team, and they will use their regular channels to get it out.
All right. So with that said, Jen, whatever is provided to you should be sufficient, and work over any of that media. But if not, if your team, requires it to be, massaged or re-amplified in a different format, that'll be easy to accommodate.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds fine. We'll also enlist the help of the Vermont League of Cities and Towns and the Town Managers Association.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Barb.
Do we think, yes, thank you, Rick. Do we think there'll be a social media announcement, if you will? Okay, good.
I mean, we would do it through our channels at DPS, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all others would pick it up. So I guess I would request that when we push it out, if you guys have social media communicators in your towns or with your organizations, just send me the best place to tag you in it or forward it to you. And that way you can then put it up on and reshare it.
Yep, you can definitely use the Vermont 911 on Facebook, and that would be best. And then I'm sure there's others that people can let you know about. So
You're showing your age when you say that Facebook is best. You're totally showing.
Well, that would be the best tool for you to use, because that is the only social media presence we have. And now I'm really showing my age.
There you go.
Jen, I'm more interested if you have your own TikTok. So,
as anyone who's from Vermont knows, when I went back to be the interim chief in Burlington, I shut down all social media comms except my Facebook page. So I've got nothing but Facebook.
Okay. I will add.
Thanks for checking, though.
You're welcome. I was going to look for it. So I want to add, Barb, the landing page you mentioned. We are developing that. Of course, we don't have it quite ready yet. I'm actually checking on the status to see what on our side of the company having that done and available. Which, when you get that landing page for the group, it's going to be just like the other one. So you'll have the link, and you can just send that out across all your various comms that we were just talking about, all the Facebooks and the TikToks and the Instagrams and wherever else you want to send it. You can send that piece out, and it will it'll have an explanation page just like before. And at the bottom, there'll be two options for them to sign in to whichever virtual attendee or attendance that they want to make. And then all we're collecting on that end, this time it's a little bit different. Obviously, not everybody's going to be with an agency. So we're just going to have name and email information. And the email information will be captured so that way we can follow up with people after the fact. And it will also be the way that we can send the virtual information back to them for the event.
Sounds good. Great. All right. Anything else from anybody on the community listening sessions? All righty. And I see Michael Wright has joined us. Welcome, Michael. And also Senator Renner is in the room as well, which is a good segue right into the public comment section of the agenda. Let's open up the floor for public comment. And I will start with Senator Renner. Do you have anything to share today?
Not today, but thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Just listening.
Kim Cheney?
Let me make sure my mic is on. I think it is.
We can
Um,
hear you. Yeah.
We can hear you.
Well, I tried to listen into the meetings, and it was a disaster. It was totally impossible to even listen. The however the cameras were set up and the microphones were set up for the two I tried, the Northeast and the Springfield one, they just didn't work. As if the meetings never happened, as far as I'm concerned. I talked with Barb about this, and she indicated that they were aware of the problem, but you didn't get it corrected the next time. I hope these community meetings, you're going to totally rework the way the public can, if not participate, at least listen to find out what was said. And I'm looking forward to at least the summary of the comments that people thought were pertinent. Because I couldn't pick up a word. So all of this is silence personified. And it's a subject I'm interested in, but it's been impossible to get any information. So I would urge you to clean that up for these community meetings. And I would also ask that I could get on the distribution list to get the notices. I don't know. I mean, I can look at your website, but I'd like to, if you're going to send invitations, I'd like to just be on the list.
I think that thank you for that feedback on the difficulties hearing. There were steps taken in the last session to hopefully improve that. Maybe sounds like it didn't work as well as we might have hoped. I would refer you to the transcripts of the events that might be helpful, and I'll just leave that with Rance and Jason for how we might make sure things are better able to be heard in the community listening sessions. I think it'll be better because it will just be remote or virtual, so everybody's on the same platform. And as far as distribution of invitations, I think we notify all of our regular attendees from the public of events like this. So we'll do that in this case too, Kim.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Barb.
I'm sorry, Rance. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and just to add to that, you're right. We did have some audio difficulties. It also had to deal with the places that we're at. We were at 4 different locations with different capabilities and different functions that we had available at the time. There was some difficulty with that, but the majority of it was recorded and transcribed, as Barbara mentioned. I know it's up on your website, so that information is available. And I will add on the invitations, if it's related to the actual events themselves. As I stated, when you register for it, your email will be captured and there will be an invitation sent back out to you with the information for that particular event when you do register for it.
Right. So it will be key to do the registration process in order to get the link to the listening session. So, okay. All right. Thank you, Kim. Stephen, would you like to share anything today? We are not able to hear you if you're speaking. Okay. Not able to hear you, Stephen, and we're going to move on then to project updates from Televate and Mission Critical. So Dom, I will hand this off to you.
Hey, Barb, before we move on.
Yep. Okay.
I just in follow up to Kim's concern, I'm surprised. I only attended the Pittsford session, so I'm surprised to hear that there were problems some of the others. So it must be as a result of the fact that we were in 4 different places that all had their own individual systems, because the one that I attended in Pittsford, the facilitators were able to successfully interact with several people that were attending remotely, and there didn't seem to be any audio problems. So it must have been specific to those rooms that you were in the other 2 locations.
Yeah, I would also say the same thing. The NVRH one, I've been on that WebEx hundreds of times remotely and never had any issues. And we had over 20 people online and they were engaging in our conversation. So I don't know, Kim, if it's a quality volume issue, headset issue on your end, but there's no audio issues. It's a really sound room with sound system with state-of-the-art smart board. So I don't understand that.
Well, if I could just respond.
Yes.
I called Barbara after the meeting in St. Johnsbury, and she said my problems I was reciting were the problems with the camera. It wasn't my end, it was your end. And she had a lot of complaints of others in that area. So it wasn't my end. It was, frankly, very poor planning not to look at the sites, set up the cameras and the microphones so that somebody could listen. And I didn't try the others, but from a public point of view, the ones I did try to get into were complete failures. And I think it wasn't on my end.
Okay. That's fair enough, Kim. We understand your experience was not good, and we'll try to see what we can do to prevent such things in the future. So appreciate that feedback. Anything else before we move back to Dom? Okay. Dom, go ahead with the Televate update.
All right, thank you, Barb, and good morning, everyone. I think many of the task force members are aware, keenly aware of the status. I'll go over it quickly. I'm sharing my screen now to look at the status update, which was published on Monday. And as we've been discussing, all of the town halls have been completed. The 4 town halls were wrapped up 2 weeks ago. MCP has also completed all dispatch center visits, and they have contacted the agencies, still working on some of the cybersecurity surveys for gaining additional information. But primarily we are nearing the end of a data collection phase and are heavily in the analysis phase at this point. So as you mentioned earlier, Barb, MCP is working to perform the analysis based on the data they've received to date. I'll give a kind of a quantitative update on that later. Of course, moving forward, as you mentioned, we have the community listening sessions, which we are planning. We've got the dates set for those. The week of October 21st. And we are also need to keep in mind that we have the workshop sessions coming up also, and need to be scheduled later October into November, and we're working to plan those. Just a quick overview of the action items. We have a number that were complete recently. These in the light green indicate that they have been completed, and they will be removed from the next status update. And similarly, the risk item that we had identified that was identified as active in terms of risk of being able to gather the data needed. We have visited all dispatch centers, so we feel that that is appropriate to close that as well in the risk and issues here. Plan to close that as of this week. just as a quick look at our schedule to kind of reiterate where we are. Again, many of these items are marked as complete. The on-site visits, the town hall sessions, and were all completed. So the analysis is well underway, as well as the first major deliverable coming up soon towards the end of this month is for the system inventory and assessment deliverable. So that's, I'm sure, keeping MCP quite busy right now. We do show now, I have updated the schedule to show the community listening sessions, which will be towards the end of October. And then, as you see, we're planning the workshops as well. Our tracker here at the bottom shows that all site visits were completed. We didn't, for the data questionnaires, we received the majority of them. There are, I believe, 5 or 6 that we did not receive, but at this point in time, we feel we've received all those that we're going to receive. Those that did not, were not able to complete the actual questionnaire. We did gather data during the site visits. So we feel that's sufficient, and we are moving forward with the data we have. So that's a quick synopsis of where we are. Happy to answer any questions from task force members.
We have anything for Dom? All right. Rance and or Jason, anything to add from your perspectives?
I'll take it this time. I'm still in. He gets to take over after this week for me. So
Okay.
at this point, I just want Dom obviously hit most of the things that we're working on in his summary. The thing to add in, just for in case you get any feedback, the cybersecurity assessment piece is still going on, which is separate from the questionnaire. So we just need to make sure that when these conversations come up, that these are 2 different things. Yes, the questionnaires are essentially closed out. The assessment for cybersecurity is still ongoing. We are adding another element to that to assist, because it's been a little bit difficult because it goes through a system that they have to log into, and there's been quite a bit of misunderstanding of the emails as they come back to the people that are trying to fill them out. So what we're doing on our end is we have a dedicated person in the cybersecurity team that actually is calling the individual agencies, reaching out to the point of contact, and just working through with them individually and trying to assist them in whatever they may need to get that assessment cleared up. So in case you get any feedback about that, we are doing that if they get a phone call on that part of it. And I think the only other piece I want to add on, I think it came up from Mike talking about maybe getting more of the telecommunicators involved as we continue on. And Dom hit that. These decision point workshops that'll come up a little bit later, that's where we'll dig a little bit more into that, where we can get that kind of granular information, get a little bit more detail. And that'll be the point where we actually will start. Those workshops are kind of intended to kind of start helping us make the decisions that will eventually go into the report itself. So as you can see from this project, it kind of goes down until it goes down like this, and where we start narrowing that, the data that we've collected and we analyze, plus the other information, we'll get these decision point workshops that'll help us make those recommendations. So that's all I have to add to that. Any questions?
I have a question. How many workshops are we planning?
I think there's at least, go ahead, Dom.
Well, I guess I gotta check and see exactly what was included in the contract, but I think we still, that's still somewhat open, as we want to identify specific themes to cover in those specific workshops. So we talked about that a little bit. We are going to continue that discussion and planning, but we're going to address specific themes such as lessons learned from previous regionalization or other types of activities. I assume we'll have one on coverage, governance, finance. So we'll have a number of different themes, and we want to identify those to kind of determine the best approach to the workshops.
Thank you, Dom. I'd forgotten that piece of it, so that's good
I like
reminder.
that too. there'll be a minimum amount that we have. I mean, contractually, we can look that up, but we don't want to be just contractual about it. If we can't get, we also want to make sure to have enough that we actually get the information that we need. So, if we have to have more than what's contractual, but even like we go with Dom, if we have several themes we're going to be covering, that could be different workshops.
Mhm.
So we'll
Right.
just keep that in mind as we start to develop those out. So.
Great. Thank you. Okay, any questions from anyone for Mission Critical? Alrighty. Moving on then to new business. Is there any new business from task force members for today? Nope. Excellent. Then we'll move to the final item, which is to confirm our next meeting date. We're set for October 16th at the regular time. Please do watch for the availability poll to come out from Callie, so we can build the schedule for the community listening sessions. And if there's nothing further, I would like to hear a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by several people. And all in favor of adjourning, raise your hand or indicate by saying aye. I see
Aye.
the hands are up.
Aye.
The ayes are in. We are adjourned. And thank you all very much for being here this morning, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.